Everybody, this is the first episode of the ChansLogic project. I got a bunch of really good questions the other day on Facebook, and so I thought I'd do a video each week answering a bunch of these questions. Some of them were great, some of them were ridiculous, but we're going to answer them all. Meet Pepe the Squirrel. He's crawling in my shirt right now. He's going to be trying to hang out. He has a short attention span, though, so he's gone. Bye, Pepe.
What is ChansLogic?
So ChansLogic is a project. It's a thought-based project from an intellectual like myself. And the project is designed to answer questions, help people through their frustrations, help them work through the problems they're experiencing as small business owners or as entrepreneurs. And it's also designed around social media objectives. I've built everything I've done and everything I do and every way I function is built off of social media. This is what is happening today, and this is what we need to focus on. If you're not on Instagram, you're not on Facebook, you're not on Twitter, you're not pursuing Snapchat right now, you're not going to be in business for very long. If people don't know who you are, they don't know how to find you, and they don't know what your persona is or what your business's personality is, then these people aren't going to look for you. They're going to go to someone else who's doing the Instagram. I like to say the Instagram and the Facebook. They're going to go and find those people because they know them, they see them, they trust them, and they built up kind of a reputation by just being out there.
What is your business model?
So my business model and the way we started Stone Age Fuel and our whole School of Fitness, our barbell club, and our youth program was just pursue excellence. So you got to get out there. You have to actually do it. You have to actually be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to work long hours every day of the week at first, and you have to be able to put everything you've got into it. Otherwise, it's going to fail. If you only put 70% into it, that's all you're going to get out of it. The business model is bring people in, work with them essentially in a one-on-one environment, nurture them as much as you can, take care of them, treat them as friends, and then they'll stick with you in the long run.
What are some things people should know about running their own business?
I see a lot of people who say, oh, you run your own business, that's great. You get to make your own hours, you get to do whatever you want, you get to party and drink mimosas. That's entirely untrue. So when you quit the work world and you're not sitting at a desk all day and you're running your own business, your own project, and your own things, you're on it 24/7. You got to be up and running with things. You got to decide whether or not you want things automated. You have to talk to people. You have to get out there and you have to put in the work. If you don't do that, you're going to fail. Most business owners don't succeed because they just continuously fail and then they finally give up. So biggest thing is keep it going, keep it moving, and always be pushing through it.
Who learns faster, the kids or the squirrel?
So I think this is entirely dependent on the child and the squirrel. Both of them have short attention spans often. The older the child gets, the longer the attention span is. But the squirrel always has about a 12.5-second attention span before he's gone. And he's really fast, much faster than a small child. So we have to take that into consideration as well. Turn your head for 1 second, squirrel's gone. Turn your head for 1 second, you can still see the child as it leaves.
How do you get a client to come back to the gym after being away for an extended period of time?
So we have a client or a member of your facility who leaves for an extended period. Usually it's on a hold, maybe they're sick, maybe they're injured, or maybe something happened in their lives. You get the client to come back by taking care of them before they left. You take care of those people while they're in the gym, while they're with you, talking with them, treating them right, and those clients are always going to come back to you. Everything stems from taking care of people and treating them right. This is ethical business. This isn't shady used car salesman stuff.
Yeah, used car salesman?
I think so. Often used car salesmen get that name where they'll sell you kind of a ketchup popsicle that's going to ruin your white gloves. We don't want that. If you have white gloves, don't get the ketchup popsicle. Maybe we get something else. A popsicle without color on it, perhaps.
Would you consider leggings to be pants?
So this is challenging. Leggings considered pants, and we have to consider the fact, here's Pepe. We have to consider the fact as to whether or not a female or a male are wearing them, and we have to consider the fact that it's obviously unisex. So when we're looking at leggings, they're skin tight, so they could also be considered skinny jeans, which we have to kind of steer clear from. A lot of people don't like skinny jeans. I'm indifferent. Whatever floats your boat makes me happy.
So yoga pants.
Yoga pants are pants.
Because it says pants in it, right?
Yeah, because it says
totally.
Pants. It's like considering the fact whether or not they're super tight or they're not tight. But it says pants, so they're obviously pants.
What are some common mistakes of an entrepreneur?
I think one of the biggest mistakes of the entrepreneur is just jumping into it with no plan of action, no idea what you're doing, and no idea of how to run anything or how to financially manage anything. People get into these things and they raise money, they spend it all, and then they go broke. You got to be able to have a plan of action. You got to have actionable objectives, and you got to be in a position to where you have the finances and the resources to weather a storm. You're going to go through good times. You're going to go through bad times, and the ability of you to manage your finances is what's going to get you through the bad times.
What's a good example of that? Like in this industry?
So
Fitness industry.
in the fitness industry, you see a lot of gyms have their great startups. They raise a bunch of money. They build a bunch of equipment out, and then they sell their product as cheap as possible. And then they just eat dirt for the rest of their careers in the fitness industry until they A, either burn out, or B, go broke. So you have to learn how to price yourself well and how to set yourself up for success with a business plan and a plan of action.
How do you know when your teens are ready to transition to an adult class?
So when we're looking at teens going into adult classes, we have to consider a few factors. We have to consider the maturity factor of the child, what kind of class they're going into, and who's in that class. We have to make sure the child's at a maturity level to be able to keep up with the adults in that class, and that the child's not going to be behind in that class, or that they have different learning objectives at that point. So I'd say you have to look at the child, and you have to decide whether or not it's a good position to put them in a child's class based on their maturity or an adult's class based off where they're at. If they're not mature enough, you always err on the side of keeping them with the other kids. And in fact, I wouldn't put a kid in an adult's class until they're at a very high level. They're very mature and they can hold their own.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one is there to hear it, then why are my waffles on fire?
So we have to consider the physics of the equation. We look at gravity that falls at 9.8 meters per second. And then we have to look at the factor of the Coriolis effect, which is the way the Earth turns and how fast it's turning. So when we take those two factors into consideration and the tree falls, the Coriolis effect happens. This, in essence, creates a butterfly effect, which is a ripple effect that's going to cause the waffles to light on fire somewhere else.
When you are a small gym and you are the owner, programmer, head coach, bill collector, how do you balance all those jobs without other people getting their feelings hurt?
So one of the hardest parts about running a micro gym or in a small gym or a niche like ours is you become pretty good friends with everybody that's in your gym and that's working out with you. And that's great, and that's something we need. And it's incredible for retention and community. But we have to realize at some point is you have your identity and then you have your different roles in the gym. When you're the bill collector, everybody's on an auto pay. You don't ask people for payments. You don't count people. You just put everybody on a card. If they don't have a card, then they probably shouldn't be in the gym. If they're going to do cash payments or something like that, it would be at least a 6-month payment up front or something like that. You need to set yourself up with systems so you don't have to ask people for this. You don't go into Fred's Waffle House and ask for waffles and you're going to pay him later. He doesn't have to come ask you to pay. You pay your check at the end of the day. And this is how your gym's going to function. So now when you're doing everything, you need to, even though you're friends with these people, we need to establish the fact that we are running a business. And then if that business fails, that nobody's going to have somewhere to work out, and then everybody's feelings are going to get hurt. So we need to take that into consideration, and the people need to know up front. We call this setting what your expectations are up front. They need to know who you are, what you do, why you do it, and what the boundaries are. Yes, they're friends, but boundaries in the gym need to be respected, and they need to be followed.
How do you maximize the power nap?
Here's a good one. So you take 2 shots of espresso or drink an Americano and then fall asleep immediately. We call this an espresso nap. You're going to get the equivalent to 8 hours of sleep while you do this espresso nap, and you only need 20 minutes of sleep. So in reality, you just take espresso naps all the time and you don't even need to sleep at all. Productivity, bam.
What are some tips for social media?
So for social media, it's essential to have a system. And I'm not talking automations. You need to be real. You need to be human when you're on these things. If you start setting up bots and all of that garbage to talk to people on the internet, you're going to set yourself up to fail. Nobody's going to trust you. They're going to unfollow you, and they're not going to like your brand. So get rid of the bots. Get rid of the automations on social media. Get on there. Make yourself a marketing calendar. Know what you're going to post, when you're going to post it. You can post it ahead of time if you need to. But you need to have objectives and you need to have strategies as to what you're going to post, when you're going to post it, and how you're going to post it. And you need to be real and you need to be human. If you're not real and human, you're not speaking to people, you're just a robot, and they're going to think of you as just a corporate entity, and nobody likes the corporate style anymore.
How much can Pepe lift?
So right now, the squirrel can PR his little giraffe toy. We call this his hump toy because he wakes up every morning and he humps it. He is a boy, in case anyone was wondering. It probably weighs maybe a quarter of a kilogram. We only use kilos in weightlifting, so I won't convert that to pounds for you. But he's pretty strong. He's a Capricorn, and he's gone. That was the attention span of the squirrel.
What are some misconceptions of weightlifting?
So this is a great one. So you often think weightlifting, and what's the first question you get? How much do you bench, bro? Well, guess what? Number one, I'm not your bro. Number two, I don't bench. So what we need to look at when we're weightlifting is we're doing the snatch and we're doing the clean and jerk. So when people say weightlifting with no space, we're talking about Olympic lifting. And so the next misconception I would say is people think it's not a girl sport. I'd argue that this sport is dominated by women, very strong women, very petite women, large women, medium women, all kinds of women of all kinds of shapes and sizes. They all have great bodies, no matter what you're saying about them. And if you think of a weightlifter, they're almost like a decathlete. They have the six-pack abs, they have the muscles, they're toned, they're ripped, and they're strong. They can move their body around the bar, and they do it well. Remember, hashtag ChansLogic, ask some more questions, and I'm going to answer them. Pepe will be right here for any Pepe questions. And we're here for you. Follow us on social media. Follow me on Snapchat. And that's it. Thanks for watching.